Ahead on NewsWatch, as the Electoral College is set to make Trump's win official, more questions surface about Russia's election hacking. Plus, a treasure trove of great stories you won't want to miss. Why this former Miss America has launched a new project with FaithWire. And the Crown Prince of the NBA, who follows the King of Kings, will show you the side of Steph Curry you won't see anywhere else. Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Today, as the Electoral College makes the president election of Donald Trump's win official, the media continues to push the story, Russia hacked the election. Dare Hurd is on the story.
Ho, ho! Donald Trump has got to go!
Left-wing activists hoping protest and threats prevent a Donald Trump victory in the Electoral College vote, as the Democrats and the media have worked to chip away at the legitimacy of Trump's victory, with stories about Russian hacking. The incoming White House chief of staff calls it a spin job.
I think the real question is why the Democrats and why these electors and why MoveOn.org and all of these organizations are doing everything they can to delegitimize the outcome of the election.
FBI Director James Comey and Director of National Intelligence James Clapper are reported to agree with a CIA assessment that Russia tried to help Donald Trump win the White House, but there's no proof that it actually helped Trump win. And the source of the hacked Democratic emails, Julian Assange, insists they did not come from Moscow. And Russia wasn't the only international flap over the weekend. Not even president yet, Trump was handed a bit of foreign policy drama when China seized a U.S. underwater drone. China has said it would give it back, but Trump tweeted, "We should tell China we don't want the drone they stole back. Let them keep it." All this comes as the president-elect is giving new signs that he's planning a conservative domestic agenda. Trump saying Saturday he would nominate South Carolina Republican Congressman Mick Mulvaney as budget director. Mulvaney has been called an anti-establishment radical on Capitol Hill. He's a strong fiscal conservative who has pushed for big cuts in government spending. Meanwhile, at Donald Trump's final public rally before the Electoral College vote, the Reverend Franklin Graham asked God to heal the divide that we have in this country. Graham said he believes Trump's victory is an answer to the prayers of hundreds of thousands of Americans. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
A South Korean government official says North Korean missiles pose a direct threat to the United States and Europe. That is, according to the official director, General Lee Sang-ho told the Daily Star online that Kim Jong-un's arsenal is more dangerous than previously thought. The information comes amid reports that North Korea's military is now capable of attaching nuclear warheads to missiles which can travel thousands of miles. The outgoing Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, used his last address to recognize Israel is the subject of strong international pressure. He said, quote, decades of political maneuvering have created a disproportionate volume of resolutions, reports, and conferences criticizing Israel. Mr. Ban Ki-moon will be replaced in January by the former Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Guterres. It is an annual tradition that honors our fallen heroes, and over the weekend, more than 1 million Christmas wreaths were placed on tombstones at cemeteries across the country. At Arlington National Cemetery, 44,000 volunteers braved blistering winter weather to help the nonprofit with its annual wreath-laying ceremony. The 245,000 wreaths were placed there alone. The patriotic tradition started back in 1992 when a wreath maker from Maine had about 5,000 extra wreaths and had the idea to place them on the graves at Arlington. He and his family did this quietly for many years, but eventually the public caught on and volunteers started sending money and offerings to help. Today, wreaths across America lace the classic Christmas decoration at more than 1,200 cemeteries nationwide. Well, you may have noticed our clothes fitting a bit tighter than usual. Most people pack on the pounds at Christmas time. But as Lori Johnson shows us, there are some tips to avoid that all too common holiday weight gain.
Those delicious goodies we love this time of year carry a price.
The average American gains about 8 to 10 pounds from Thanksgiving until New Year's.
Ideally, come January, we'll lose them, but all too often that just doesn't happen. So dietitian Kelly Freno shares tips on how to avoid gaining in the first place, starting with strategies for food-laden get-togethers.
Some things we can do is make sure we're choosing healthy foods. So making sure that we enjoy lean sources of meat like turkey, ham, and salmon. Making half of our plates non-starchy vegetables.
Also, choose smaller portions. Eat slowly and no seconds. The best way to avoid overdoing it at your holiday gathering is to eat something healthy and filling beforehand, like a handful of nuts, a hard-boiled egg, or a salad. Drink plenty of water before and during the event.
Cautious though on the high sugary beverages, so careful on the eggnog. Also watch out for our alcohol intake. One 5-ounce glass of wine has 120 calories. If you have 2 or 3 of those throughout the evening, those calories really add up quickly.
Make time to exercise. It not only burns those extra calories, it also acts as a stress reliever, minimizing your temptation to stress eat. It's hard to eat healthy when people twist your arm with words like, "Come on, it's the holidays," or "I made this myself just for you." But don't give in to peer pressure.
Kind of preparing yourself with a healthy, happy, no thank you, or the dish looks great, but I'm full, it's been a delight. So learning how to politely say no can be very engaging during a holiday party without being overbearing or insulting.
Finally, weigh yourself every day. Research shows this reality check helps you minimize your weight gain. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Up next, a former Miss America with a story of her own and a love for the untold stories of others. Kirsten Hagland talks about her latest passion. Kirsten Hagland says she grew up just another girl from the Midwest. She needed money for college, so on a whim, she entered a beauty pageant. Then, in 2008, she was crowned Miss America, and her life has never been the same. Caitlin Burke has her story from New York City.
Everyone has a story, from your neighbor to those you pass on the street each day on your way to work. Former Miss America Kirsten Hagland wants to find those stories and share them. That's why she started the Sonder podcast with FaithWire.
You realize that there are hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of people all over the globe that have a story, a complex life, feel anger and sadness and happiness and joy and tragedy and triumph. And that's really what we try to do, is just try to tell different people's stories.
Hagland's own story has played out in a way she never anticipated. Born and raised in Michigan, she says she grew up just another girl from the Midwest. An introvert, she loved to read and watch movies. But more than anything, she loved ballet.
From a very early age, I felt just very connected to music. So dance felt very natural to me because it was really a way of becoming one with the music.
As much as she loved it, however, the intensity and competition began to isolate her.
I was in ballet 7 days a week, most weeks, especially leading up to performances, Nutcracker and spring performances, etc. In the ballet studio 3-4 hours a day, and then Thursday nights, Friday nights, all day Saturdays, Sundays.
In that isolation, Hagland began to develop body image issues, which led to years of battling an eating disorder.
And I thought that I was just doing it because of ballet and that goal, but really deep down I was searching for worth. I wanted to be seen as beautiful. I wanted to be seen as successful. I didn't want to cause problems for anybody. I wanted to keep the peace. I was a people pleaser. So if I was thin and small and beautiful and tiny and graceful and perfect, then I would please everybody.
But her story doesn't end there. Hagland's parents helped her get treatment for the eating disorder. However, it took a personal revelation for her to choose to truly accept the help.
I was on a treadmill and I was running and I almost blacked out and fell. And it was hugely frightening for me because I'd never been out of control of my body before, ever in my life. And that kind of physical scare was huge for me. And it was then that just out of nowhere, started coming up all these feelings that I hadn't had in years. I mean, dreams of things that I wanted to do and that I wanted to be outside of ballet. Like I wanted to get married and I wanted to have kids and travel all over the world and learn another language and help people and be a part of something bigger than myself. And so at that moment, I just really realized that there were values that I had and desires that I had that were deeper than the eating disorder.
Hagland quit ballet, but she couldn't ignore the lure of a stage. She planned to pursue musical theater with dreams of Broadway. College, however, is expensive. So in 2006, she competed in her first pageant, hoping to simply win some scholarship money.
I thought, oh gosh, well, that'll be a great learning experience for me too. But I never expected to win. Actually, I didn't, if you were to be honest, I didn't really want to win. I didn't think I was qualified in any way.
Hagland not only won, she soared. In only her second pageant, she won the title of Miss Michigan. Suddenly, she was on her way to Atlantic City and Miss America.
I don't think it ever really put so much pressure on me because, again, I did not have any expectation of winning.
Then came the night when she kept going further. Hagland made the top 15, then the top 10, and so on.
That night was just out of a dream. I mean, there's really no other way to describe it. It was like I was watching it happen as it was happening outside of myself. I never expected my name to be called. Like I would prepare myself before the next elimination round to not be called so that if I did, it would be a huge surprise.
Finally, the time came for the winner to be announced. Kirsten Hagland received the crown. Since that moment, her story has been full of many dreams come true. She's traveled the world, gotten married, and helped a great number of people. Her life isn't what she expected, but it's full and ever-changing. The latest edition, her podcast with Faithwire. She hopes to give listeners a brief window into other people's experiences that may just help them in their own.
What I hope is that telling those people's stories gives people the space to have trials of their own and to have challenges. And to realize that that doesn't mean that you can't ever get to where you want to go. It doesn't mean that you're worthless. It doesn't mean that you don't have a future. It doesn't mean that your potential is ruined. It doesn't mean because plan A doesn't work out that plan B isn't 1,000 times better. You know, just giving people the space to be human without the expectation of perfection.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News, New York.
It is called the Sonder Podcast, and you can find it each week on faithwire.com as well as iTunes. Faithwire is a new effort designed to engage young people with inspirational content. Up next, he's called the greatest shooter in the NBA in history. And stay tuned, we get an up-close and personal look with the incomparable Steph Curry. Players and analysts have called Steph Curry the greatest shooter in NBA history. And according to Curry himself, that puts a big target on his back. Recently, the defending two-time MVP talked with our Tom Buring about how he handles the pressure, both on and off the court.
You can't get lost in the daily routines and the hype of what we do on the floor and forget, why we're here.
Steph Curry is basketball's distinguished sharpshooter, an NBA champion and back-to-back MVP. After becoming the league's first unanimous selection to win the award, his growing acclaim raises expectations.
It definitely becomes harder to stay at that level because you have a bullseye on your back, you're under a bigger, I guess you call it a bigger microscope, and there's much more scrutiny, criticism, praise, all that you have to deal with.
Steph had to first deal with being overlooked, attending small Davidson College when big universities offered no recruiting interest. NBA scouts then questioned his size and skill set prior to the 2009 draft, before the struggling Golden State Warriors took him with the 7th pick.
Are there days when you come in here and you're thinking, how did I get here?
100%. There are times where I think back to when I was drafted and didn't know exactly the direction we were going. A losing team, and to now where we're playing for championships and have a huge stage to play on every single night we step foot on the floor. So it's an amazing journey and something I'm grateful of the entire journey to get here.
Here is Oracle Arena, home of the Warriors and hub for a rabid national and local fan base.
For a Carolina kid, what makes the Bay Area a great place to play and to pour into?
The Bay Area is just so culturally diverse, and there's so many different people from different backgrounds, and It's obviously a beautiful landscape. You got obviously the Bay, you got San Francisco, Oakland. So there's just a lot of variety in a very small space. You can tell the people who live here love it, and they receive us on the basketball floor so well. They support us. They're passionate fans and care about what the Warriors are up to.
A team that's up to being the league's elite, with Steph's signature three-point shot resetting his own NBA record in each of the past 3 seasons.
What for you is the most important component to your outside shooting?
Consistency with your base and fundamentals. So you look at the greatest shooters in basketball history, not one person shoots like another person. They all have a very unique form, but they're the ones that can repeat that form over and over and over again with little change each time, so that they are a more accurate shooter when it's pressure time or when they're open, not open, whatever.
On your release, what are you looking at? Where's your focus?
It's on the rim as I'm shooting. After I shoot, when the ball is halfway up towards the rim, I kind of stare at the ball just to see how it's rotating, see what line it's on. You usually know at that point whether you're going to make it or miss it. And then you lock back on the rim to hopefully see that ball go right through the net.
His scoring skills are on a fast break of their own, quick enough to earn Steph a reputation as the NBA's greatest shooter ever. But of all the shots that the Billboard Wonder treasures, it's the sure shot that anchors his soul.
I've learned well from my parents. They set a very, very high standard of who you are, what you believe, and how Jesus can work through you on a daily basis should be at the forefront, and that should be able to navigate you through whatever life situation you're in, and to not be ashamed of that.
His dad, Del Curry, played 16 NBA seasons. Growing up in a basketball family gave Steph a nurturing model shared among teammates.
The brotherhood that is on this team runs deep. And we know there are a lot of guys that are similar in faith. How does the Christianity, the brotherhood among brothers, play into that?
You ask anybody in their walk of faith, it's all about finding accountability partners and finding people that can encourage you in your walk. Knowing nobody's perfect, we all have very similar temptations, struggles through our entire walk of faith. So for us on the court, we all grind and compete on the floor, so why not grind and compete in our spiritual walk together as well.
The overlap for both player and person becomes intentional.
We have a group chat, we call it the discipleship group, where we share Bible verses every single day and kind of do a Bible study through text message. Every game day, we have 10, 11 guys show up for the 30-minute Bible study and prayer service. Daily encouragement, that's the biggest thing.
Steph shares encouragement from his platform, donating chemically treated bed nets internationally by every three-pointer he makes with a Nothing But Nets campaign.
How satisfying, Steph, is that for you to be able to impact lives a half a world away?
It's definitely gratifying to know we're saving lives. Malaria is a devastating disease, especially for kids under the age of 5. And so families in Africa who are in malaria prevalent areas, those parents can't protect their young ones from a mosquito bite and the negative effects of malaria without our help and without these nets. And this isn't an issue that we can eradicate. It's something that's preventable, and we're on that mission.
Steph Curry, the basketball shotsmith, double dribbles his discipleship into the game he plays and into the lives he influences outside of it.
That's the hardest part, how crazy society is and the pace of our life right now. You have to be able to continue to get fed every single day because there are distractions left and right. Find ways to impact people with how you walk, whether you say anything or not, that they can see something that's different about you and how you carry yourself. And that's a follower of Jesus.
That is indeed the power of Jesus, seeing the difference in you, whether you say it or not. Stay with us. There's more of CBN NewsWatch coming right up. It has been a big year for the Hillsong ministry. Hillsong Young and Free just earned a Grammy nomination. Hillsong United won an American Music Award, and the world got to see how the tiny church in Australia grew to touch the world in the documentary Hillsong, Let Hope Rise. Just in time for the holiday, that film is being released on DVD.
It's not about a church or about what we do with writing songs or making music or serving God. It's the story of who God is, that he loves ordinary people, he loves everybody, and that he has a plan for everybody, and everybody on earth is invited into his story.
The DVD is available Tuesday, that is tomorrow, and you can also win a copy of it from our entertainment news show, Studio 5. Just be sure to check this week's episode to learn exactly how. Right now it is time for your Monday Motivation, and today I want to offer you this. Your vision should always be bigger than your ability. That personal inability is where God's power and possibility take control. God gives the vision, and He will also make the provision. But both are always bigger than your ability. With that word, make this a marvelous Monday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about, and you can always find that at cbnnews.com. We'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Once again, make this a marvelous Monday. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow.